Beacon, Fridays at 6:30 EST, with your hosts Michaeldseville and Joel Simmons. A channel whose focus is liberty. A place where the lessons discussed and taught will create openings to a more open and freer mindset. A mindset where you may reach the height of your potential and excel. Here are your hosts, Mike and Joel.
What's going on? What's going on?
Another day, another way, my brother. What is happening, guys? Community Beacon. If you are blessed enough to see us, it's at least Friday, right around 6:30. And this is September. We're midweek September. And we're coming back to you live and in charge, brother. How are we doing this week?
Doing great, doing great. You know, I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I feel the momentum. We're cooking with, as they used to say, we're cooking with grease now. Snap, crackle, pop.
I don't know. That might not be. We might not need to cook with grease anymore. You might have to have like olive oil or something.
You're probably right.
Whatever they're using now, guys. Community Beacon. I think I lied. I said we're live and in charge. We actually recorded for this episode, but you know we're coming together. We're putting it together. We actually had an excellent conversation going earlier, and we were going to tape it because those were just like one of the conversations it is that we have. But you all are going to get the best of it because at least we took some notes and we got some points here for you guys as we get into this program, this episode about planning for momentum. As you all know, at the beginning of the month, we pick a theme. The theme for this month was definitely moving towards the future. What exactly we're doing in the future. And here we are. Real quick, let's get this housekeeping in order. It'll only take us a minute, guys. It'll only take us a minute. Mondays, right around 9 o'clock. What it takes. I'm going over something similar, planning for the future. Last week, I spoke about some of the metrics. If you go back and look at last week, or I guess it would be earlier this week, I think that was the 9th or so, probably not even 9/12. It was the 12th, excuse me. So on the 12th, I really got into some of the metrics it is that I use. I went over a real fresh sheet in regards to how I do my prospecting calendar day after day. Really got granular. We are running businesses here, people. If you want to have a hobby, this is definitely not for you. So definitely remember that. Girl, every on Wednesdays, I saw Kathy in the background. Shouts out to Kathy.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Kathy. My best. Okay, there we go. Making her debut, that special woman. Shouts out to Kathy. Amen. Yeah, so on Wednesday, Kathy got me all flustered. I don't even know how to go to the next part. Wednesdays at 12:30. We got It Starts With Me every Wednesday. The brother Joel from the Tenacity Foundation is interviewing someone different. I can't see who they get. Oh, there you go. Who we got? Who's Sarah Armstrong, brother? Tell us a little about
Sarah Armstrong, the good divorce proponent and author of The Mom's Guide to a Good Divorce. She's the vice president, global marketing operations at Google and proud mom of Grace, who is now a freshman in college. Y'all, I'm very specific in who can get up and get on to our show. And I was a little concerned because of the title, The Good Divorce. And I'm not, I'm just not that person who's, I'm for marriage. Hang in there, make it work, go back to work, make something happen. That's who I am. But after speaking with her, I was like, wow, her book should be a book that everyone gets before they get married. If you get her book, I'm just telling you, if you get her book, the concepts in the book will help you to stay married.
To stay
married, my man. I mean, it's just like, woo, she's got it. She's got it. She's got the tenacity. She's got the flair, and I'm glad that she's doing well. This was a super deep conversation. Please join in. Listen to this one. You're going to have a good time listening to this. Pass it on to your friends and your family.
Awesome. So guys, definitely check out that. You all know Joe has a great way of interviewing people. I actually got a chance to check out the last episode that you had, brother, and I thought that was awesome in regards to what's my guy's name? You did last week.
Not Joey. Is that Joey?
No, it wasn't Joey. It wasn't Joey. It was Lit. Liddy was when
Richard Flint.
Yeah, Richard Flint. I didn't catch Liddy's one. I caught Richard Flint, and that guy was dropping some bombs. So guys, if you get a chance to go check out the Richard Flint episode, I was tuned in. I was excited about I got a chance to watch it. But I'm glad I tuned in. You guys will be as well. That Richard Flint, this guy has some mic dropping moments, and there's definitely something that you can take out of that interview. So great interview on that one. And of course, like I said, Sarah Armstrong coming up next week. And guys, of course, Friday is Community Beacon. We're here. Let's get right into it because we got things are moving. You know how we do. Planning for momentum. Planning for momentum is the title of the show. So we spoke last week in regards to a lot of how we're moving forward. Like this for us, remember, if you're running a hobby, this might not necessarily be for you. But if you're looking to turn your hobby into a business, if you're looking to turn your hustle into a business, something that you're not creating a job for, this is how we move forward, and it starts today. Make September your new year. This is how we start planning for momentum, because we spoke about it earlier, brother, was that when January starts, we have these resolutions and everyone's starting to do something. This is January 1st is when the day I'm going to get into the gym. January 1st is the day I'm going to start making strides. I'm going to make my first phone call on January 1st. There's a lot of challenges. And here's the thing. There's a place for all that. Let's start a challenge in December. And we'll start one in December. We'll start in January, do a 30-day challenge, whatever. There's a place for it. However, how dope, how cool would it be if when January 1st started, you were already rolling? Because you got to think, and not just in your business, most people overall are looking to make a change. And if your business is providing value to people, that's the perfect time to be in front of them. And they already know, like, and trust. Some people love that. I like to say respect and know that you're results oriented, you can get the job done. How good would it be for you already to start January 1st and allowing that to happen, guys? So these are some of the things that we're doing, because what we decided earlier was, and we called it, I thought it was lovely. The brother actually picked this out, was about front loading. And front loading means that we're putting all this work up front. We're front ending the work so that we can be strategic. We can be proactive versus reactive. And brother, anything else we had on front loading? I know there was a bunch of stuff we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's it, front loading. I think that was just something I was picking up. I was kind of vibing off of you. And as you were talking about front end work, doing all of this work now. And so it's like, we're talking about going into quarter one. We're in quarter four. I think that this is really where we're heading with this. The whole idea, last month being about time, the time is now, right? And so now we're like moving forward. And so the whole idea is like, well, how do I move forward? Well, first off, you have to plan where you're going. So road mapping is like one of those things you need to do. You got to get your business plan, road map it, get your goal points, know where you need, what your markers are, where you need to be at, wherever you're going. And then there was some real key things that you had said when you were just talking about, I'm seeing my accountant today. You've been talking about take care of your taxes. You've been talking about that for like the last 3 weeks, I think, that we've been talking. And then the numbers. What are my numbers for January, which goes right into my goal points, my mile markers. Am I hitting it? What do I need to do? What kind of adjustments do I need to make? So that's the whole deal about this front loading. That's what I took out of, bro. It's just front loading is these things that we're doing so that next quarter can be successful. And by doing those things now, this quarter will be successful.
Yeah. you know what I always think about, like shooting past the mark, right? Because I always feel like if I shoot past the mark, then I'll more than likely at least end up at the mark. And so that part has a lot to do with this, because you're still, you don't slow up when you don't see runners slow up when they get to the finish line, right? You're not, that's that final push. You start to see them arch forward. And so that's kind of like what we're doing now. We're arching forward. A lot of us don't understand the numbers. Guys, if you have a quick chance, go check out the Monday nights, What It Takes. But I'm going to give you a little bit more information in regards to it, because we're talking about numbers. People are like, what numbers? Like, what numbers do I have to go off of? I just started my business. And to be honest with you, I wasn't even keeping numbers up to this point. I was getting some money in. Money was going out. This month, I can't really tell. I feel good about the place that I'm going, but I don't exactly know. I wasn't necessarily keeping up to date with it. A lot of people don't do that. So if we're doing a business, once again, if it's a hobby, then you're doing it for fun. You don't care if you're losing money. If you're doing a business, you want to at least make money. You want to at least break even or go towards making money. Eventually, you just want to make money, right? So what you need to do is you need to find benchmarks. The brother was talking about the metrics. We have to find a benchmark. And if you don't have one, you need to create one. And you can't just say, I need $1 million, right? I think that a lot of people have benchmarks where we say, yeah, I want to make $1 million this year. Where did that come from? What industry are you in? How likely is it even for that industry even to make $1 million? What are your competitors doing? What are other people in the industry doing? You have to find a model. And what the best thing to do is probably because it'd probably be easier, is if you take the national average. That's the easiest way. Another way would be to call competitors from different areas and marketplaces to see what they're having. Other way is to find someone who's already doing it, and you can act, and they don't mind giving you the information. We're talking about coaches. We're talking about mentors. We're talking about trainers. We're talking about people who are already in the industry who don't mind having these conversations with you, because really at the end of the day, there's room for everybody. However, I totally understand. I don't want to give the competitors, people not want to give competitors their game plan. But what you're looking for is the benchmark. What exactly do I need to be doing in order to hit this goal marker, and a goal that you actually believe in, right? Like you actually have to have a goal that you say, you know what, I believe in this goal. Because if you don't believe in it, if you don't believe, January, you can lose weight. You're not going to lose weight. If you have a lot of excuses or different mindset, last week we were talking about higher law and lower law. If you have a mindset of not, non-belief because either you've never seen it, you don't know what it takes, etc. It's just some number that you came up with. You're not going to hit those goals. I guarantee you. I've done it, and not only are you not going to hit them because you're not motivated to hit them. Does that make sense? Someone in the back, give me an amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Not only that, brother, but the fact that you need to believe in it. Yeah. That's a huge thing that is just that we sometimes undershadow. If you don't believe in what you're going to do, which I think that's what you're alluding to, how are you ever going to do it? Because at the end of the day, I can call Mike up and he can motivate me. And remember we talked about motivation being like the spark plug. He can get my engine started, but then after that, he's got to go get in his own car and run his own race. So what happens when I get, 50 miles down the road and my tank is hovering just above empty? Well, what's going to happen when I'm pulling over on the side of the road? Now, he gave me the motivation to get on that road, but now I'm ready to get on the exit. I'm ready to take an exit. And you know what? Maybe I might even stop at Walmart and go shopping. Y'all get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, Mike? You know what I mean? 1,000%. Since I'm here, they got a sale in the store. You know what I mean? It's like,
You know what's even deeper about that thought process in regards to the motivation, like you getting that push start, and then you mentioned the Walmart. You got to think that once you get off, say you get off and there is that Walmart, but there's a destination that you have in mind. but you're actually exerting energy. You know what I mean? Like, so let's say you're actually pushing the car. Like, imagine pushing a car that hasn't started and there's a Walmart there. How easy is it for you to be like, you know what, let me just stop pushing this car and let me go into Walmart, because Walmart's going to be more comfortable. There's going to be air conditioning in the Walmart. I can, probably find me a seat somewhere next to one of those, they normally have Subways or something in Walmart. Like, I can sit, like, it's so comfortable to get away from your destination. That analogy is powerful, because it's easy to go and just do the comfortable thing. It's so easy to say, you know what, I know I said I was going to get in shape. I know it. But it's 5:00 in the morning, man. I think I'm going to take the rest of the week off. My body's hurting. I'm going to take the rest of the week off. Then guess what happens? That day turns into 2 days. That 2 days turn into a week. 2 weeks turn into 4 weeks. Next thing you know, you're like, hey, it's just better for me just not to go. We're going to start this up, 3 months before my birthday or something, 60 days before my birthday. You start to move the goalposts. You just start to move the different things. Your standards start to shape. So it's important for us to get into the momentum of it. And if you can start this momentum without a huge consciousness, because that's what happens January 1st, is that there's a huge consciousness of everyone making changes. That's what makes it so easier for us to be motivated. But if you can do that before, if you can draw in that motivation at any point in time, I'm telling you, you become a different person. You know what I mean? You become a different person. Hey, let's get back to front loading.
Hey, brother, let me just share this little bit right here. Because when you said it, I was like, what? That's scripture. We keep telling them that every single thing, it comes right out of the scripture.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to share this. I feel like it. All right. Proverbs 6:10. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. It's over with. It's over with. So, don't get us wrong. We're not saying don't take a break. We're not saying, don't speak with somebody. We're not saying that. We're saying that if you are just choosing to just sit down and hang out in the Walmart, and maybe you did that one time, that's fine. I got nothing against Walmart. Or if you just decide you're gonna watch a little bit of Netflix, I ain't got no problem with that. You want to watch a little bit of Netflix, watch it. That's cool. Maybe you ought to set a time for it. Like, I'm going to do a half hour while I'm eating. Remember way back when, 9 months ago, when we talked about time blocking? Maybe that's what you need to do. Instead of sitting in front of the TV and binging this thing. Oh, man, what? 20 episodes later,
It's easy to get into those episodes. Here's a thought. Put it on the calendar. Ooh. Put your rest time, put your time that, hey, I'm going to need some mental health time. Schedule it. Because if you schedule it, you can say, okay, well, I got 2 more weeks before this. I can push through these last 2 weeks. Or I just got to push through this last month. Let me go ahead and get through this month. And then I got this week coming to me. I got these 3 days coming to me. And maybe you schedule it. Maybe you schedule days. Maybe the first 30 days, and maybe we'll have to sit down. Let's come up with this, brother, because I think this is an interesting thought, guys. And these are remember, we mastermind here. These are interesting thoughts. Is that sometimes it's tough to wait for that 3-4 months and then a vacation. Sometimes it's tough to be like because that second or third month you're like, well, when is that vacation again? But if you can schedule certain days of where you're actually saying, you know what, today I'm putting the phone to the side. This day I'm scheduled. No one's called. You don't set appointments on that day. You don't set appointments. You don't set anything to work. There's really no. The brother's the only one that handles emergencies, man. The brother is the only one that is on this show, especially. He's the only one that's certified to handle emergencies. You know what I mean? When you call that number, my mentor always said, there's no emergencies in real estate for us. So if you have a client that's calling between 8 and 12, anything can wait 2, 3, 4 hours to do it. And then if it can't wait, that's because you had done already put it off for about a week. You know, we're talking about closings, or you weren't reaching certain deadlines. Certain things hadn't been taken care of. But if you're taking care of your business each and every day, there's no emergency that can't wait 3, 4, 6, 7, even 8 hours, because you already know. That's the great thing about real estate, and it's more than likely it's more than likely the thing about life. Unless there's a family emergency, there's really no real emergencies. And so if we plan these days and we stick to those days, you'll have less time off. And burnout is real. Brother, have you ever experienced burnout?
Yes, I have. Absolutely.
It's a real, and here, this is when your body or God is saying stop. And then now you don't even know. Now you have to really leave it up to the higher powers to figure it out. Now you really have to be intentional about it. But you don't want to wait till you have the flat tire. You want to check on your tires and make sure there's enough air in it. We're keeping up with the car analogy. So here's the thing: is to be strategic. So this all goes back to the front loading, right? This all goes back to the front loading. This all goes back to being strategic. It's to being proactive versus being reactive. We want to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve, and when we do hit that speed bump, we're hitting it with our tires are fine. We already know the speed bump was coming up. It's going to happen. We're not super people. None of us here. We all put our pants on the same way. We do the same thing. We have the same thought processes. We all have this ego, or this passenger that we carry that tells us we can't do it, or maybe put it off to next time. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, not because I want to. Every morning I'm talking to myself like, hey, just hit that snooze. Hey, nobody's gonna know. You know, you go on 50, go on and take a nap. Take an extra hour, 2 hour and a half. Go on and do it. Nobody's gonna know, Mike. Trust me, nobody's gonna say anything to you except for you. Except for what happens during the day that you missed. Like you have to, it's going to happen. We're all going to have these thoughts, brother. And so we want to be proactive because we know it's going to happen. We know these thoughts are going to come. We know that our body we have to refuel, right? We know that we have to maintain ourselves and keep the maintenance up. So we need to get ahead of the game. And here's the tough part about it is because most of us spend our lives in survival / struggle mode. So all we're thinking about, and the crazy part about it is that even when you're not, because technically you're not really surviving or struggling, especially when you compare it to some of these third world countries. Like a lot of us are thriving. You got a phone in your hand, you're thriving. You got a roof over your head, you're thriving. You got a car to jump into, you're thriving. You can catch the city bus, you're really thriving. But then we get into these, we're comparing ourselves to other things. But if we don't take the time, we're going to go back to time and be in that moment and sit in that presence and power, and we're always anxious about, what's going to happen to this bill. Let me tell you something. God's my honest witness. And I'm probably not the only one. I done sat in the dark. Those of us who know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm talking about. I done sat in the dark. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not nice, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But we can prevent these things. We can prevent ourselves from sitting in the dark just from proper planning. So that's what we're talking about with this front loading. I'm going to go talk to my accountant later on this afternoon. I'm talking to my accountant later on this afternoon so I can avoid a lot of the mistakes I made in the past. I'm not waiting January 29th and my accountant is telling me, or my tax guy is telling me, like, well, next year we'll have, you could have saved X, and O if you had done this. You bought that computer anyways. You could, if you had bought it in December, you could have. Well, you just got to wait till next year. You're using your phone for business. Like, it's all these different things that, because for sake of lack of planning, we miss out on. So it's important for us to get ahead of the game, because we're not going to get out of survival or struggle mode by continuing to do the same thing that's keeping us in survival and struggle mode. I told you every year it was a time every year around, I think it was like November or something. I think that was my month where I used to be looking around like, am I in the same place again? No matter how much money I made. It could have been 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000, $90,000. And I'm like, but I know I put in more work and I was working these extra hours. I had the side job and the side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still, you talking about November, I'm still in the same. Then I should have just stuck with the $20,000 job and been in the same place. I would have did less work, right? But I did all of this and I'm still in the same place. Why is that? Okay, is this proper planning? There's something going on with the mindset, the higher law the brother was talking about. Mm-hmm. There's something going on in that higher law. So once we fix the higher law, we spoke about our last episode. Guys, go check that episode. The brother Joel is dropping gems. These concepts, all right, let me get the brother his flowers because it's important. These concepts and terms and the ability to communicate are so powerful for a lot of us. Like the concepts and terms that, because like the brother said, everything is out of the Bible. But a lot of us can't necessarily decipher a lot of the stuff that's in there. We can't really see it. We're seeing it on a surface level. So when you have someone around you that can actually go into it and communicate it into a way that we can understand it, because these are laws and principles. These are tenets to live by. We speak about the Bible being our ruling guide. I'm not turning this into a religious or spiritual show. You all know what my heart is, though. But it's like being able to live by there's just some laws out there. It's just the law. And if you live by these tenets and law, but if you don't know they're there, then there's nothing you could do about it. And if you're just living on the surface level, you're not going to get to it. So when he's talking about PAM management, when he's talking about projecting, acting, and manifesting, it's the truth. Let someone break these things down for you. If it fits, then it ships. It's the truth. There's so much out here that we don't necessarily need to take with us. And you get some great critical information. If you could, but a lot of us aren't necessarily critical thinkers like that. So you have to figure out, okay, what am I going to take with me? And then if you don't have them, man, here's a moment. It's like, man, you got to submit to something. Like you can't be around here. You got to submit to something, and it's already laid out for you. Stop making it hard, man. Brother, I had a talk with Beethoven earlier today, and one of the things he mentioned was, he said, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I'm doing that. He said, Mike, I didn't know it was this easy. He said, like a lot of these things are this because it wasn't taught to me that it was this easy. He said, here's my hard-headed self thinking that I need to go about doing things, and it has to be the hard way. Like we put this perception on, like it has to be the hard way. It's the different way. It's the road of least obstacles. 99% of the time we put these obstacles into our way. Like one of my trainers said, you have the listing because they invited you over. You don't get the listing because of something that came out of your mouth or the way that you presented yourself. So think of this PAM management. You already have it. It's yours already. You put it in your mind saying that I don't deserve it. It's hard to get to. It's a grind. We talk this grind. I say, listen, what's the hardest? As long as I started coming up with a thought process. As long as I'm not on somebody's roof, I'm fine. You know what I mean? I think roof work is like one of the hardest jobs to do. You all, especially in South Florida, you on somebody's roof, you laying tile which is heavy, or you putting down tar, which is hot. The sun is beaming on you. If you ever see some of these guys, that's why you see some of these guys like underneath the tree look like they knocked out. That's labor. So then for me to sit here and complain about having to get up at 3:30 in the morning and get my mindset right in air conditioning and making phone calls and talking to interesting people and, just and living my life this way and making decisions on certain terms and just coming up with my own standards, like, entitlement, man.
Mm.
Right? It's a certain sense of entitlement. Guys, we got to get it together, but it does come with a sense of pre-planning and the ability to understand that we're all human. We all have these little bumps, these little thought processes, et cetera, in the road. And it's important for us to get ahead of it as much as we can. I guarantee you, if you count it on your hands, there's probably only 4 things that were urgent and needed attention right there in the moment for your entire year. If you went back and looked at your entire year, it's probably maybe 4 or 5, if that, 5 things where you say, you know what, I got to drop everything and I got to go handle this thing, because if I don't, someone's going to be hurt, or I'm going to be hurt, or whatever the case may be. Most of the other stuff had to do with procrastination. You waited to the last minute. You put stuff off, and then you're like, okay, I got to get this thing done. And 9 times out of 10, you still got it done.
Real good, real good. Yeah, man, I want to hit back on some of that, because you mentioned that road, the road mapping so many times, and I got a little slide for us, a little something to share with everybody, something that was put on by, I think it was called the nngroup.com. So I think it's real good, though, how they kind of set this thing up. So, I'd like to share that with everybody. So let me see if I can pull that up. I got it on one of my windows. Here we go. Okay. So this is what I consider to be kind of like some of your lower law things. Higher law is your whole mindset. And then what we've been talking about today is more about, what you need to do, your planning and your actions, those types of things. The scripture, Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision upon the tables, so he that readeth may run. So that's what it is. Like, you get this vision. What do I do with it? Well, number one, higher law means that you need to nurture that vision. You need to support that vision. That's going to take book reading, meditation, breathing exercises, speaking with the coach, those types of things. You don't have to do that constantly, frequently, to keep your mindset in the right place. Remember, it's all about having those neurological grooves. But now it's like, well, how do I make the vision come together? Well, you should see a vision 3 times. You should see it first in your mind. Then, then the second place you should see it is on written paper. You should draw it out. That's what needs to happen. Whether you write it or you draw it, whatever, but you need to physically see it, or you need to go wherever your vision is. You need to pull it up online and visualize. That's where I'm going to be at on December 31st. I'm going to be right there at that beach. I'm going to be sitting inside. I'm going to be sitting in a long chair, and, and someone's going to bring me up, Arnold Palmer. And I'm going to enjoy the sunrise, and I'm going to enjoy the sunset. And ain't nobody going to come by to bother me, because I'm not even going to have my cell phone. So you got to start visually seeing that. And then you need to find out where that location is. This is higher mind going, higher law going to a lower law stance. It's like, okay, now I see it. It's almost like I can taste it. It's almost like going to the burger shop before you order the burger, and you like see the burgers being made, and you're reading the menu, right? The next thing that happens is you order it and you pay for it. Now it's complete manifestation. I'm chewing on this burger. So this right here, the road mapping, this is the next phase, right? So I've taken my higher law, and I brought it out of my mind by projecting it through either verbally or by writing it down. Road mapping, that's where we are. It's your business plan, right? Establish your goals, gather inputs, create things, prioritize things, visualize and share, revisit and update. And y'all, it's been up on the screen long enough for you to kind of like dig into it. I want you to remember something, because I like the stuff that was in here, right? Routinely return to your roadmap and make adjustments as necessary is number 6. We got to remember those types of things, because as you hit these mile markers, these goal points, you should feel as if you could do something greater. Mike, you were sharing something a little while ago about a gentleman who hit all of his goals, or he or she hit all their goals in first quarter. That's dope.
Absolutely. I think I want to go back to that roadmap you just shared, brother, where you had the end, because that was, I mean, guys, you missed the excellent conversation about an hour ago. We were talking about actually living, and you were talking about actually living in the future, brother, because I said a couple of things, and brother, like, well, brother, I'm thinking about the future, and at the same time, I'm making these adjustments now. When we start talking about these different roadmaps, like I really don't want to overcomplicate things. Because it's not, it's honestly, it's not that complicated. And forgive me if I'm not communicating it clearly, because I'm living in this. Like, I live in the business, and I live in, so when I talk about it, so I want to bring it down to make it sure it's not complicated. We're going to create these different things, these visions that we have, these goals that we have. We don't know. This is just a goal. This is something that we can get behind, and it makes us feel good. I don't care if you say, man, at the end of this year, I want to have at least an extra $10,000 through this business. That is fine. It does not have to be. I'm telling you, this lofty goal of 100 million, you got to be comfortable with what you want. Now, here's the thing, is that through these different activities, these different lower laws that you're having, once you pick out your goal, through the continuously doing it, like that's what's so great about this world and manifesting, is that we have something in our mind, but God's plan 9 times out of 10 is so much greater. We just need to be doing the activities in the meantime in order to get there. So like Joe mentioned, this young man, Mr. Greg, he said he finished his stuff within within 4 to 5 months. It was the second quarter, brother, where he finished his goals, and he was like, man, the rest of the year is just, in him, he said it was extra because he already had met his goals. But he based his goals upon the benchmarks. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about manifesting almost like a lot of magical things are going to happen in your life because you're doing the activity. So you may or may not make the goal. And guess what? The calibration I saw on step 6 was the adjustments of the goals. So the goals are really just based on these benchmarks that we've seen. It's based on past performance. But past performance, although it's the best indicator, it's not the actual indicator of the future, right? We can get as close as we can, but no one's going to tell you where you're actually going to end up at the end. You know what I mean? But you want to be satisfied in everything that you've done up until that point. So it's so important for us to just, to have these benchmarks, but always be calibrated. Okay. And more so for when I get behind, because if you get ahead of it, just keep going, right? Because you rolling out of, you keep going. But if you get behind, now it's like to say, okay, I'm behind. I may not hit my first quarter. This is the second. This is February. I may not hit my March 31st because of what I'm looking at. What do I need to do to calibrate to make it better? Do I need to put more work in? Do I need to put more focus work in? What adjustment? Because we spoke about this before. It's always like this 1% shift that this shift that you need to make. It's not, and that's why it's not easy to succeed in business, because normally it's not just that glaring. It's like this little thing that you may need to shift, and all of a sudden, oh, that makes sense. Me and the brother do scripts. It might be a little wording in the script that needs to change. You're like, oh, and that just made all the difference. I might need to slow my cadence down at this point. Mm-hmm. Oh, I need to raise my tonality at this point. Okay, that's what it is. Boom, I'm doing it. Those take reps, and we're talking about reps and to understand it, but those are the activities. You got to get into activity in order to get there. My God, this is a lot. I want to stop because this is a lot of information. I get it, guys. We spoke about this before, and but we want to take you bite-sized information in order to take it there. I think if you can take anything away from this conversation, it goes back to the time. It's to start now. Start gaining that clarity on what it is, on where it is that you're heading, and listen. Don't be afraid to reach out to shorten that curve, because that may be what it is that you need, brother. So what do you think?
I love it. just one thing I wanted to back you up on, and piggyback on, was just that you were talking about that step 6, and and you're just mentioning about recalibration. One of the things that my mentor Jamie Villalobos was mentioning to me is that she was talking about how when you set these goals out like that, and you're doing that for like a year, or you're doing it for whatever, when you get into that groove, just like you were talking about, and then you mentioned you may need to shorten it. That's it, y'all. When you start to get into that groove and you're like overpressing it, keep overpressing it, keep overpressing it. But what you're going to need to do is separate yourself in the middle of that, and then see what you can see if there's a 1% tweak. Because if you're starting to if your goal was 250 at the end of the year and you hit it in 2 quarters, then what can you tweak so that you hit that 250 in 1 quarter?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Steve Harvey was talking about a conversation he had with Frank. I lost his name for right now, but he's a billionaire. He's got over $8 billion. And Steve Harvey got a chance to sit in a room with him. And he said, when you started thinking about, if you come to me with a conversation about how can I reach 30,000 people, then you need to be thinking, how can I reach 300,000 people? It's just minor things, and now we're talking about a multi-millionaire. I think Steve Harvey is probably 100 million.
Have to be. Yeah, he got to be. Yeah.
So we're talking about 100 millionaire mind next to a multi-billionaire mind. And so the mindset shifts, it changes, because once you understand something, you can crush it much easier. So if you are easily making that 200, that 400, that 500, that 1 million, if it's easy for you, then you need to go back and calibrate. Because instead of just like throwing your feet up, you need to just include, like Mike was saying earlier, those vacation points into your program, those Netflix binging moments into your program. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. Just include it. That way, when you're binging. You're meant to be there. You separated 10 hours to sit on the couch, eat pizza and ice cream and chicken wings, and watch your favorite thing. And then after that day is over, you go back to the gym, you go back to running, you go back to hitting your work, and you hit it harder than ever, because there's a time and a place for everything. When you include it, then it's not like you cheated. You didn't cheat. You didn't fall off the wagon. You don't got to start back at the beginning. You just pick up right where you left off. This is the benefit, and I know we didn't mention it, but this is the benefit of creating a business plan and a personal life plan and pulling them together. Now you ain't got to worry about, what do I do with the kids? Brother said this thing. He said, because you want to go to the vacation. Like, listen, your relationship with your family is not all up in the vacation for 2 days. It's really in, and I think Jordan Peterson said this, is really in that lunchtime or that dinner time that you're having with them daily.
Yeah.
So if you really want to build a better relationship with your family, then you need to build that into your business life plan about how you're going to manage your lifestyle with them daily. Build that into your plan. At 6 o'clock, the phone goes on, focus. It's just me and my family. We're going to sit down and we're going to eat. We're going to talk. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to find out what they're doing. I'm going to tell them what I'm doing. This is how it's going to happen. And then over the long run, when you get to that vacation, everybody's already having a good time the minute they get in the car.
Yep.
Everybody's excited. It's not like you got to force them into fun, because you have already put that into the program. Fun is a part of it. It's a byproduct of it. It's going to happen because you put the time in the appropriate place. I love it. I'm done.
Let me. I got to speak on what you said real quick. You said Steve Harvey, who's I don't know if but he's got money, right? He's multi-millionaire, so he can be fine. He's going to go talk to a billionaire. to have conversations because he knows the same mindset it took him to get to the million is not going to take him to the billion. I seen Puff Daddy, who has close to $1 billion. He's speaking to Ray Dalio, who's 16 billion. So it's like you got to look at these different things. Mindset, it has to change to make the adjustment. Guys, time well spent. Time is well spent. Listen to a lot of this stuff. There were gems dropped, but we necessarily didn't point it out to you. They were in and out of the conversation. It's important. This is what we're and this is what we're doing. I mean, it's one thing if we just sat down and you didn't do it. I remember there was a guy who was going through. He was giving me this information a long time ago in the day, and I watched him go through the progression of it. You're watching us go through the progression of it. So a year or 2 years from now, you can't be like, oh, them brothers was lucky. All this was planned, proper planning. Get ahead of the game. Plan for your momentum. Brother, what do you say?
I love it, man. I love it. Definitely appreciate this time. It was time well spent. Time well spent. I'm going to have to send that name out there. I just started to read up into this dude also. And I was like, man, this guy is awesome. You guys got to listen to the interview. Steve Harvey was like, listen, you only get 30 minutes with this man. That's it. He said at 25 minutes, a woman comes in the door. She comes in the door. When she comes in the door, that means you got 5 minutes left. She don't say nothing. She just opens the door. That means you got 5 minutes. At the end of that 5 minutes, time is up. She said the woman came back in at 30 minutes. He said he just did like this. That meant he got 5 more minutes. So he was at 35. She came back in. He did like this. That meant he got 5 more minutes. He was at 40 minutes. He said after that, she ain't never come back in the door. He was in there with him for 7 hours. I said, oh, man. Fire, man. Fire. That's what I'm talking about.
This is the Steve Harvey interview with
This is the Steve Harvey interview. Yeah, this is the Steve Harvey interview. And I treasure those moments.
I gotta check that out. I gotta check that one out.
I'm gonna get the names so that all the people can know it as well, because I treasure that type of stuff. I was just talking with Monty Holmes just the other day. This guy's sitting on his boat. It's a 7,000 square foot boat, 14 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. His boat has boats. Come on, man. and he's telling me, and he's just like giving it to me. I had about 14 minutes for him.
I have to take it. 14 minutes.
It's mine. Anderson close out. All right, y'all. We love you. That's Michaeldseville, the real estate king. He keeps it real. All right. And also the business mogul. You guys make sure you check him out on YouTube, Michaeldseville. All right. Every single Monday, 9 o'clock, dropping gems. You're only going to get about 15 minutes with him. I'm telling you, because his time is worth so much, but he enjoys bringing the value. So clock in, check him out. Make sure you hit that bell so you know when he comes on. Remember us on Community Beacon. We love you. We're waiting for you to be here. Sorry we couldn't be with y'all live today, but you know what? It is what it is. We hope to see you. DM us. We'd love to catch you. All right, we're out of here. Peace.